Hey friends, Wayne over here at the Ram Man Inc. Don't forget the ink. You may find some useful information right here. What I'm fixing to bring up is one of the most common questions that I get, whether I'm here or whether I'm at shows like Carlisle. People tell me, Wayne, I've got the all or none effect. And I say, okay, so when you push on the brakes, wants to throw you through the windshield, right? That's exactly what it fucking does, Wayne. Okay, here you go. Here's your solution. And I remember I had redid a booster for an old dude down in Houston off an Imperial. I tried to give him this lesson, but he was just a hard-headed son of a bitch. Didn't want to hear anything. So I'll tell y'all how it works. So, okay. So, most people have heard around cars, guys, not grandmas, that in general, the front brakes do 70% of the work compared to the rear brakes. Most dudes have heard that shit before. Well, it's because of the weight distribution, and it's common sense. All weight's on the front. So, that's one of the reasons why. So, what do we mean by the all or none effect and throwing you through the windshield? Well, I'm going to tell you why, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the problem is. When you get the all or none effect, or throwing you through the windshield, it points directly to the rear brakes. I'm going to say this 2 more times for the hardheads, the drunks, and what else. When it's trying to throw you through the windshield, the all or none effect, it points directly to the rear brakes. When it's trying to throw you through the windshield, and the all or none effect, it leads directly to a problem with the rear brakes. Well, why do you say that, Ram Man, with such confidence? Well, one of the reasons is I've been doing this a long MFing time, and my uncle's been doing it longer than me. So I'm going to tell you guys why. So, you need to understand something. Car braking systems are designed to engage the rear brakes first, no matter what. The rear brakes must engage first. Gonna say it 2 more times for the hardheads. The rear brakes must engage first. The rear brakes must engage first. If the front brakes were to engage first, with all the power that they have, such as a panic stop at 60 miles an hour going down the highway, your vehicle's going along like this. Yeah, this is a real Hemi Master cylinder, and here's his guts. Your vehicle's going along like this. You slam on the brakes, front brakes lock up, have all that power. The ass end's going to come around. You go into an uncontrollable spin that cannot be stopped until all the kinetic energy, momentum is exhausted. That's what happens. Now, how did Ma Mopar tackle this problem on the disc brake setups? So, here's your Mopar typical disc brake master cylinder right here. Now, Some of you guys don't know this, some of you do. On a Mopar, the front chamber is for the rear brakes. The front chamber is for the drum brakes. Why is it smaller? Well, it's smaller because it doesn't need much fluid, because the wheel cylinders don't need much fluid to fill them up. The drum brakes also do not push as much fluid out. The drum brakes don't push as much fluid out. The rear chamber is for the front brakes. The disc setup. The rear chamber is for the front brakes. So they're opposite. Why is that chamber so big? It's so big so people wouldn't have to constantly fill the sumbitch up. Because you got to have enough fluid in there. As your front disc pads wear, the piston has to come out more to touch, and you have to fill the area behind that big 2.75-inch piston. See, when I tell you, the common sense kicks in, 8th grade level kicks in, and you can actually understand. So, this is for the rear brakes, that's for the front brakes. Front piston, rear piston. This pushes a little bit of fluid. This pushes much more. It's this entire area. So, how do they accomplish that? Well, Ma Mopar did it real easy. This spring is much lighter than this sumbitch, that I cannot even press. There you go. Watch this. Doink. You understand? So, these are sitting in here, and you push on this. Which one do you think's going to compress first? If you don't know, you need to stop the video. The video is not going to help you, and you need to seek an expert. If you don't understand that this one's going to compress first as versus this one, you probably should stop the video, not work on the vehicle yourself, and take it to an expert. So, that's what happens. Looky here. Do you understand? That one compresses, and then that one compresses. So, obviously, fluid starts coming out of here first, before there. Isn't that simple that they did, huh? That's like some 8th grade shit, I remember. So, the back brakes should always come on before the front ones, and that's how they did that. Now, they won't have no wrecks. In January of 1970, Ma Mopar introduced whole new design on our muscle cars. This is our TA valve, a copy of the original. All this is a distribution block, some distribution block, and what else? No, it ain't no damn proportioning valve. It don't proportion nothing. It is a pressure reducer which reduces the pressure to the rear brakes. Drum brakes do not need the same pressure as disc brakes by over a factor of 20. At least 20. That's why drum brakes work with no power assist since the beginning of drum brakes in basically the 20s. Are you with me? That's why you can run a car with manual drum brakes. So, what is this thing that they incorporated that they never incorporated before? They actually started using this on the C bodies and the Imperials first before it even got on them E bodies and the B bodies. Okay? This is the metering block. The metering block. It serves several purposes. Number one, this metering block comes out of here. The metering block powers the front brakes, the discs. This block doesn't even open until approximately 135 psi. This does not even open until 135 psi. When it does open, this is the preliminary to our fantastic ABS brakes of today. This was one of the first steps, and Mal Mopar did it. It's called the metering valve. Once it does open, it meters the fluid out instead of just wide open. It meters it out. That's why on these original cars, if you press hard enough, you'll feel that little bump in the brake pedal. And you'll see this little rod coming in and out. That's how you know that it's functioning. Like on them Cudas and stuff, if you're driving, you'll feel that bump. If this is working, a slight little kickback for a second. That's that valve opening. Yeah, that's what that little feel is. So, yes, so on top of this right here, which attempts to make sure that the back brakes always engage first, they decided to put a valve in to do the same damn thing because they wanted to make sure absolutely that the back brakes come on first. So, there we go. Now we've gone over a little bit. So, this is what I'm talking about. So, the front brakes are very powerful, and the rear brakes are not from the get-go. There's a 70-30 split. Y'all folks with me? Yes. So, this is why you get the all or none effect. The back drum brakes are not working correctly. The back drum system is not working correctly. The back drum brakes are not working correctly. Have I said it enough times?
Probably not.
Probably not. The back brakes are not working correctly. So, instead of a normal car going along, you press on the back brake, or the brakes, back brakes begin to engage. They start slowing down the car a little bit. Then several moments after that, the front brakes engage, and you have a nice, smoother transition. Maybe some of you are starting to understand now. But, now this, when I say this, then you're really going to understand. But if you're cruising along, and you press on your brake pedal, and you jam it to the floor, whatever, and the back brakes, the shoes and the drums don't have any engagement or really low, here's where the common sense comes in. There's no play in a disc pad setup. The pads ride directly on the rotors. If you've ever seen a disc brake system and there's a gap between the pads and the rotors, something is really screwed up. Most of you know, even the hardheads know, that the pad's right on the rotors. So, when you push on the brakes, and that caliper piston moves 1/1000th of an inch, see, there's no play like back brakes. Back brakes, you got the wheel cylinder, which moves the wheel cylinder little push rods that come out and engage the shoes in the little slot. Then they overcome the springs, and then they move out towards the drums, and you start to have some braking. And even when that system is working 100%, it's still, what, less than half of the front. So now you understand. Now you understand. So when you're going along at 40 miles an hour and you press on your brake pedal, back brakes don't do shit because they're not working right. And these front brakes, boy, they come on just like that. There's your face plant. Sounds pretty simple when I tell you like that, don't it? So, once again, the all or none effect doesn't have shit to do with boosters. Don't have shit to do with master cylinders. And it don't have nothing to do with the valves. It means the back brakes are not working well. That's what it means. And it means that nearly, well, 99.999. Every now and then, you might have a completely, if you had a completely effed off master cylinder that didn't push any fluid, maybe. But I haven't seen too many of them. Because if the master cylinder was screwed up in general, you wouldn't be doing the face plant. Because you already know that the master cylinder's working because it's locked down them calipers. You already know that this is working because it's locked down the calipers. And usually when a master cylinder goes bad, all of the seals are leaking. It ain't just that one. The probability of just that one being bad is nearly ridiculous. Not saying it can't be, but they all in the same bore, moving back and forth, and for that to be all wore out, not that one, okay. You keep going buying master cylinders and see how far you get. If you read about most of these people, I put 3 master cylinders, like that dude down in Houston. I put 2 master cylinders on, done this, done that. Yeah, I know. Wasted your time and your money. If the fucking booster was bad, you wouldn't be face planting. Because it's real hard to do a face plant with manual brakes. It is extremely difficult to do a face plant in the windshield with no power assist. The reason you're doing the face plant is because this is working and that's working. That's why you're getting the face plant. So, I'm going to wind it on down. Most of our hybrid Mopars, disc drum hybrids of our day, most of the time, on a lighter note, soften it on down, the back brakes are not screwed with too much. I mean, the back brakes are bastards. Even when I was growing up, I've never found anybody that told me that they enjoyed doing drum brakes that it was their passion since they were small, and they wanted to work at a car repair facility where they were made to only do drum brakes. I never heard a dude say that. Most dudes I've ever worked with said thanks, but no thanks. And they're not that difficult, but them springs and stuff can be a pain in the ass. But, you know, any clown can replace pads. A lot of clowns, not any of them, a lot even clowns. So you with me? Most back brakes get very little attention compared to the front brakes. It's a completely different mission to replace the pads as versus redoing the entire drum brakes. So, and then on top of that, most people do not have calipers big enough to measure those drums. Almost all drums have a max diameter on there. And so most of them are 10, 11, 12 inches. And them little $25 calipers at Harbor Freight are only 6 inches. And the $100 ones are 8. And you need some big old calipers to measure your drums. So most people never measured the drum. So in the old days, we used to just run it on up to the auto parts store and they would measure them. But now you got a bunch of clowns and stuff, and they don't even know how to do that. And the kids today, they've never even seen a brake drum. Yeah, my O'Reilly's, that kid didn't even know what a brake drum was. He's about 19. I said, really? He said, yeah. So, you understand, so that becomes a problem. The other thing is, most people don't remember this, but when I got my first job at Chief Auto Parts, let's see, when was that? I was 15. Got a work permit here in Dallas, I was 15. So yeah, so when was that? 1980. Born 65, 1980, yeah. It was beginning to phase out in the early 80s. But used to, in the old days, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, when you went to the auto parts store to get brake shoes, they offered them in standard size and 30 over shoes. Yeah. A lot of y'all people don't know that. When you went to the auto parts store, they offered the shoes in standard and 30 thousandths thicker. That was to make up for the wear on the drums. To try to bring it into factory spec. And I remember that it used to frustrate me because we had to keep all that damn inventory, this and that and stuff. But even then, we were starting to phase it out and that. I remember distinctly. So a lot of you people out there don't know that. So that's one of the reasons that drum brakes on our Mopars usually don't get addressed. Nobody wants to screw with them. You can't measure the drum. So that's another problem. And like I said, they's kind of just a pain in the ass. So today what a lot of people can do on these old cars that can't find any drums, like today, can't find any drums, you can take your shoes out, you can send them off to a reliner, and they will put you new material on there. And you can specify standard, 30, whatever you want. So, all you guys out there with all these old Imperials and 40s and 50s and can't get rear drums and all this stuff, It is not the end of the world. There's actually one here in Dallas. If you knew how cheap it was to get your shoes relined, you would be laughing until tomorrow morning. It's Saturday, November 19th, 8:51 p.m. Last time I checked with them old boys off in Dallas, to reline 4 shoes was going to be $45. Yeah, I swear to God. Now that was about 10 years ago. But that's what it was going to be for 4 shoes, 30 over. For an old DeSoto. So, the other option is you can just switch over to rear disc brakes. All you Imperial guys and C-body guys that are all freaked out over that stuff, all of them are just running a Chrysler 8 3/4 Banjo, and hell, we got that damn disc brake kit, I think that's $500. It just bolts right on all that. That's just a standard 8 3/4. Only 8 3/4 that's different from all the others is an A-body. The A-body flange on a true A-body 8 3/4, the flange is a 1/4 inch closer to the cap's bearings than all the rest. It's the only difference in all of them since 1957. Ain't no other difference. Oh, and 4-inch drilled hubs. So, there you go. Did I explain this well enough? Did I cover it good enough?
You sure did.
Yeah. I'm going to do one last physics things for you guys that are really hard hit. The super hard hit. Okay. The reason when you push on them damn brakes and you start to do a face plant is because the front brakes are engaging, your body momentum and kinetic energy is continuing on to do your face plant. The front brakes are in front of you. The front brakes are in front of you. And they're locking up and making you do that with your body. Face plant, face plant. There you go. If the rear brakes were working like the front brakes when they came on, you wouldn't be doing face plant, face plant. The rear brakes are behind you. If those things locked up and had some power, those brakes are behind you. You wouldn't do that. You would do that, 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 push you into the back. So, there's some simple physics that helps explain for you hardheads that I really know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, I used to get asked this question about 10 to 15 times a month, not 20. Guys that have tried to replace these 1,000 times, sent the boosters in and all that. I hope that you guys understand this. I was very forceful with this explanation because this is one of the biggest problems out there, neglecting the rear brakes. And I have seen people chase this problem and spend thousands of dollars, years, literally years trying to solve this problem to no avail. I remember that dude from Houston. I can't remember Collins, some dude from Houston, Collins or something. Man, he drove his booster up here and I redid it and all that stuff, and he come wanting to argue with me. You know what, he's hard-head son of a bitch. Anyway, he's probably still got the problem. I don't know, because nobody ever figures it out. I don't know too many, let me see. No, I don't know really of anybody that's ever figured that out on their own, being honest. Nobody's ever called me up and said, Wayne, I found out my all or none effect, it's the rear brakes. That's never happened to me. They call up and they say, my booster's bad, my master cylinder's bad. I've replaced the booster 3 times, the master cylinder 17 times, and I still got the problem. And I said, damn, you've been a busy little beaver. You spent a whole bunch of cash. Tell you what, I'm going to solve your problem, and you're not even going to spend a damn dollar with me. Not even a dollar, and I'm going to solve your damn problem. Guaranteed. Anyway, enough of that. God bless you. God bless America. If you need any more help, there it is. I probably have more YouTube videos about Mopar braking systems and hubs than anybody else in the world. Well, I know that because nobody's as prolific as I am. And for all you naysayers that talk shit, you've never ordered anything from me, and if you don't like the way I deliver my message, I'm sorry about that. I don't really care. It's the message that is important. Somebody told me a long time ago, do not discount the message because of the messenger. If the sumbitch knows what he's talking about, and you know that he knows what he's talking about, I don't give a shit how the man tells me. I don't care if he tells me backwoods style or Sunday Lutheran church style or Episcopalian. Being little goody two-shoes on my vocabulary. Told me. I've held that true. Don't discount the message because of the messenger. I hope this helps you out. Be good. Have fun. Be safe. Love your Mopar. I do.